So I'm going to actually now tell you how these four facets are so deeply embedded in us that they're how we create the world. That literally, this is how the world and the self are created, through these four facets. Okay? So we're going to start at the fourth pillar. This is our perceptual loci, or what we're sensitive to, what we can see. So if I can only see the gross realm, right, then that's what I'm going to start processing according to my developmental structures. So if I'm in traditional consciousness, I'm going to take this world that I'm living in right now, and I'm going to parse it according to my traditional structures, and I'm going to start getting upset because there's all these free thinkers going against my beliefs, and they're not talking about God, and they're not thinking the way I do, and I'm feeling very uncomfortable, and then that gets taken into my childhood conditioning, where I remember my father yelling at me and getting angry, and then I want to get angry at all these people because that's the only way I know how to deal with conflict. And so I find myself getting angry at all these people who have all these alternative thoughts, right? And then I've now got the world created, right? I'm seeing the gross realm through the traditional developmental stage, putting my own personal distortions according to my history, and now I have to draw a line. Which of that is myself, and which of that is in the world? If I am my anger, then I draw the line up here, and everything below this, anger and all of these things, is the world, and I'm up here. Okay? If I know I'm not my anger, if I know that that's just a passing phase and will come and go, then I draw the line down here, right? And I don't believe I am that anger. I say, oh, I am angry right now, right? So that's the basic process. And if I see subtle realms, if I can see spirits, then I'm going to parse that according to my developmental stage. Maybe I'm at traditional, and I see spirits here. And that reminds me that this is a battle between good and evil. And I'm on the side of good, right? Because that's who I am, and that's what I've been taught, right? And it was beaten into me that I'm a good person and I need to act the right way. And you fight for good, right? And so I'm going to be battling evil spirits on the side of good spirits. And that's the world I'm going to be living in right here, right? If I'm postmodern, right, I'm going to see the emotional realm. I'm going to see the energetic interest that I have from people, or the boredom that I have from people, right? And I'll be sensitive to that. And in my sort of integral or third tier stage of sensitivity, try and incorporate something a little bit more dynamic to my speech so that I can wake those people up out of their boredom, right? And I'm going to know that this is all just happening, I'm not identified with it, I'm doing the best I can under the circumstances that I have, right? Or I could take this whole world of sensitivity through a third tier kind of stillness place and allow less of my own ego constructions if I've cleared myself well, and literally magical things kind of happen as spirit uses a vehicle that's easy to move and flows nicely, right? So that there's almost no person here speaking, right? And those are wonderful states to get into. So here we are in one space, potentially having a traditional, a modern, I'm going to do this awesome talk here and you guys are all going to love me because I'm going to be one of the best speakers around, or postmodern, we're all doing the best we can, or I'm going to become, there's different stages. And it's all happening right here. Everybody's parsing it differently, or I could be parsing it differently. And we're all creating our own world, living in it all the time, often totally not knowing how much of all of this is actually our mind. You know, like everything that I see out there is a projection of my mind. Because I'm only parsing a small piece of reality based on my structures and my conditioning and my sensitivities and playing it back, right? So this, in a sense, we're all living in our own minds here. Our minds aren't limited to our skulls. It's projected out into reality. And getting a perception of what's happening that's actually accurate enough to interact with other people because they're living in their own world is awesome, right? And how many people have had the experience of being at the same event, going through the same fight with somebody, and going, how can you see it that way? How? Like, weren't you there? Yeah, what, you know? And that's because so much, you can't separate perception from projection. You can't separate them. That's the postmodern insight. That the world and the self are co-created.